it's time for the newest segment of our show, Retail Razor Data Blades, where we talk real-world numbers and slice through measurable consumer insights. It's a bit like show me the math so I understand where this data is coming from. And bringing us that slicing and dicing of data is Georgina Nelson, CEO of TruRating. Georgina will share with us some key data points and offer a bit of insight into what's behind those numbers based on their extensive customer insight data at the point of sale.
Welcome, Georgina.
Thank you so much for having me.
So today's Retail Razor Data Blades segment is inflation doesn't impact everyone the same way. Georgina, tell us more.
So we've done some consumer insight research over the past few months to really try and understand how all these macroeconomic trends are influencing consumers and their shopping behavior and habits. We sampled over 170,000 consumers across our key markets in the UK, North America, and Australia. And I think in terms of the nugget I wanted to shout about today was just really, I guess not surprisingly, the number of people who are noticing the impact on rising cost of living. And that was a whopping 81% of consumers registered that change. But where I think it gets interesting, and as you say, Ricardo, slicing and dicing that data, is looking at the differences across demographics and age range. So when we looked at seniors, we found that 89% had been noticing the rising cost of living. But flip that up and look at those under 30 and only 75%. And so when you actually think about how the cost of living is impacting different demographics, I think it's really focused on the rising cost of food bills, keeping your house warm, and fuel, etc. And so many of us, including me, did a few stints living with mum and dad in my 20s. And so those household bills aren't impacting us as much. And I think that's really the key lesson, is that it's not a generic, homogeneous sweep all impact. We have to really look at slicing and dicing that data and getting very granular insights about how these trends are impacting different groups.
So, Georgina, we so often hear retailers being tempted to chase the newest and youngest demographic because they believe that's where the staying power is and the greater lifetime customer value might come from. But from the data you're telling us, it seems to tell us really that retailers need to both tailor their messaging and their targeting to uniquely speak to each of those demographics to get the best conversion just based on how current economic conditions are impacting them differently. So how would you say retailers should react to this data?
Yeah, I very much agree. I think it needs to be a nuanced approach. And primarily to survive these times, retailers need to really invest in understanding their consumers. And as we saw through the pandemic, how quickly these consumers are changing and keeping abreast of that. And so that means nuanced and targeted messaging to different consumer groups. But also, I think it's down to a store level, taking a very granular approach. Each store, as I always say, is a snowflake, and they have their own clientele, their own customer mix. And so being able to get customer insight down to that store and granular level and really understanding that mix up helps you have targeted and nuanced strategies depending on that store. So if you do need to make a price increase, it might be an idea to look across the whole of North America, for example, and understand your base and share that distribution across different states and vary that price increase depending on the customer base, for example. So I definitely think that those retailers who are on the front foot with understanding their customers and being able to react really quickly to sentiment and changes in behavior are those who are going to have the competitive advantage as we muddle through these times.
It's great, Georgina. Thank you so much for joining us today on Retail Razor's Data Blades.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.